This is Jack Beatson from Foreign Hands, and you're listening to The New Scene.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The New Scene. I'm your host, Keith, and we're back with another brand new episode. And on the show this week, we have a brand new guest, Sam DiGristine. He's in Full of Hell. He's in Jarhead Fertilizer. Full of Hell just put out an excellent new LP called Coagulated Bliss. Jarhead just put out the excellent Carceral Warfare last year. There's a lot of great discussion in this episode. We talk about all the great collaborations Full of Hell has done with bands like Health and Nothing, and how one of those collaborations came about from a t-shirt. A t-shirt, I'm not lying to you. There's some addiction and sobriety talk. We talk about Full of Hell playing at Roadburn. We cover everything. And that conversation is coming up shortly. But before we get to that, I need to ask you for Apple Podcast reviews. We currently have 237, and we've got to get to 300. And I'm going to keep hammering you with this request until we get there. If we don't make it to 300, I will be replaced with AI. They'll take my voice from all the episodes, they'll put it into a machine, and they'll just auto-generate them from now on. And we don't want that to happen. So let's get to 300 Apple Podcast reviews. If you listen to this show on an iPhone, open the podcast app, search The New Scene, scroll down a bit and hit that 5-star button. Also, The New Scene has shirts for sale at our store at Deathwish Inc. And you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at New Scene Pod. And don't forget to support Iodine Recordings. There's always a lot of great things going on at Iodine Recordings, and right now is no exception. I mean, think about it. 5 years ago, the label was inactive, gone, not doing anything, and now they're back and one of the leading labels in independent music. The debut EP from Teardrops, called Something to Cry About, is streaming right now, so make sure you check it out. Jerome's Dream have tour dates this week in the Midwest. Check their page or the Iodine page for a full list of dates. And go see them if you can, because they're a top 3 live band for me. Trust me, you want to see them. The Iron Roses have tour dates in the Northeast this November with Mustard Plug and Catch 22. Also, make sure you pick up Everyone Wants Something Beautiful by Love Letter. It is a must listen. Same thing with Strange Desires, the new LP from Her Head's on Fire. Go listen to it now. It's out now. Sign up for the Iodine newsletter. You'll find out about everything first. You can sign up at iodinerecordings.com and make sure you follow them on Instagram at Iodine Recordings. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor for the month of August. They've sponsored us before, and they're back to do it again. Say hello to Death Wish Inc. That's right, Death Wish Inc. is back. You know them, you love them, and if you don't, something is very, very wrong with you. The Hope Conspiracy, Bitter End, Converge, Gouge Away, Frail Body, Deaf Heaven, Loma Prieta, Greet Death, and many, many more make up the unbeatable Death Wish roster. And here's some updates from the label. State Faults just put out an excellent LP called Children of the Moon. They're on tour with Pianos Become the Teeth this fall. Listen now and buy tickets at statefaults.com. The new self-titled LP from Chastity comes out September 13th. You can listen to the new single, Summer All Over Again, right now on the streaming service of your choice. They'll be on tour with Fucked Up this September. You can listen now and buy tickets at chastitysongs.com. And remember, Brandon from Chastity was on this podcast, episode 105. Go listen to it. Eye for an Eye just put out Omega Drone / Who. That's both EPs remastered on one beautiful LP reissue by the legend himself, Alex Garcia Rivera at Mystic Valley Studio. Frail Body just put out the excellent Artificial Bouquet. Nick from Frail Body was just on episode 237 of The New Scene, so listen to that to hear more from Nick and Frail Body. Head to Deathwish Inc. to pick up some merch from all of your favorite bands, and make sure you follow them on Instagram at Deathwish Inc. Okay, so check back in with me. In segment 3, there is a lot to catch up on. We'll do a wrap-up of the conversation with Sam. I saw a lot of bands over the past 2 weeks. Foreign Hands, End, Calling Hours, Spaced, Orange 9mm, Into Another, and So I Watch You From Afar, Caspian. You wouldn't believe what I've been up to. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about everything else that's going on, but right now, we are going to speak to Sam DiGristine of Full of Hell. Enjoy. All right, we are here now with Sam DiGristine. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. You know, you're up to a lot right now. Full of Hell just put out Coagulated Bliss on Closed Casket a couple months ago. Jarhead Fertilizer put out Carceral Warfare last year. You're on tour right now, You just told me, which is exciting. And look, we're going to cover all of that and more. But first, I want to ask you, Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. We got up pretty early and just drove to the show. We're in Portland. We always love playing here, so that's always fun. Got lots of friends.
Which band are you out with right now?
We're out with Jarhead Fertilizer right now. We're on tour with Gatecreeper, Undeath, and Final Gasp. We're like about at the halfway point right now. It's going really well. It's really fun.
Nice. When did it start?
It started on May 28th. So we stopped the Full of Hell Dying Fetus tour that we just got off of on the 19th in Portland, actually. So we were here like almost like maybe like a little over 2 weeks ago. So it's pretty funny to be back. But yeah, we flew home from that tour to have like maybe 3 days, and then we had to drive to New Mexico to start this one. It's been a lot of driving. Yeah. And then that killed our van, and luckily Gatecreeper had theirs with them at that show. So we ended up renting theirs from them. So we caught a good break right off the bat.
Do you get burned out doing back-to-back tours like that?
I think like a little bit of space in between, like a few days is enough. Like if we're going to go out again, like gives you time to like do laundry, see your pets, see your like loved ones and stuff for a second. And then you can go back out, and it's like kind of like a little recharge because I feel like you're in the mode already. So getting home, you're from like a long tour, you kind of like have like a week or two where you're like, what do I even do? But then like when it's kind of cut short like that, it's like, all right, cool. I got like a limited time to do some stuff, and then time to go back out. So it's good to get practice in and stuff. But the long drives aren't fun sometimes because like they'll end on the West Coast and then they'll start on the West Coast, and it's two different vans, and we're just lots of driving and traveling. But other than that, it's not too bad. Jarhead did a 9-week tour like 2 years ago, and that was I don't think anything can like compare in like how brutal and like grueling that was.
9-week tour. Wow. I've been on 2 big tours in my life, and I think one was, let's see. Yeah, it was about 8 or 9 weeks, something like that, but that was a long time ago. Yeah. And I was also like 20 years younger, so I had a higher tolerance for things. Yeah,
it was pretty nutty. It was like definitely like losing grasp of reality and then coming back multiple times when we were in that trip. That was fun. It was a good learning experience. I would never do it again, but it was definitely good to do it once.
Oh yeah.
I think we only had like 4 days off total. Like it was a long one for sure.
Where are you from?
I'm from Ocean City, Maryland. I live in Philadelphia right now, but I've grown up in Ocean City, Maryland with the rest of the guys.
How long have you been in Philadelphia?
I've been in there for around 6 or 7 years now.
Nice. Yeah, I grew up outside of Philadelphia, and I lived in the city for 9 years. I moved out in 2012. So how do you like it?
I like it. I live up in North Philly. I used to live in Port Richmond, and that was pretty nice. And but it's starting to get like lots of people are buying houses, and there's lots of construction going on up there. Now I live in North Philly, and I liked it a lot. There's parking and stuff. There's not really much up there. You can't really walk to go get a coffee or anything like that. But it's rent was cheap and stuff. I'm actually moving out at the end of this like touring run for this year. So I've had my time with it. I like going to shows and having everything like right there, but between driving back and forth for practice and home stuff, it's kind of just like I just live there because it's cheap. But I enjoy the city. I love going to shows. I have lots of friends. I love skating there. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you're moving out of Philly or just out of North Philly?
Out of Philly. Yeah, I'm gonna move back to Ocean City.
Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah. I think it'll be nice. I used to like I grew up there my whole life, and we all used to live together and have like it was just like it's a big party town, so we party, and then I got out of there to like just chill out and move to Philly and like just like focus on myself. And now I think I'm in a spot where I can like go back home and like enjoy it like an adult instead of just like partying all the time. So I think it'll be nice. And my parents live there, my grandmother, my girlfriend, so it'll be good. I think it'll be good to be out like kind of in the woods and the sticks of things and not having so much of the city life anymore. Got to focus on some stuff.
Right. Yeah, Ocean City, Maryland has got to be better than North Philly because I did a fair amount of hanging out in North Philly when I was like 21 years old, and I was up to a lot of no good, let me tell you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a little rough.
Yeah, has it gotten any better? We used to hang out around Temple, and it was pretty rough back in 2003.
I think like now the Northern Liberties is pretty like a pretty poppin' like bar scene spot, and I'm a little bit above that, so it's still kind of like in like the little Badlands area. But Temple's like down the street. My neighborhood, I wouldn't walk down to the train station in Temple like at a certain point, but like the street that I live on is pretty nice. All the neighbors are very friendly and like we all like look out for each other. But like the surrounding blocks aren't very chill.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Ocean City, Maryland. What about your relationship with music? I mean, have you been a fan of music your whole life?
Yeah. So my parents are very young, so like my dad was listening to like Rob Zombie and like Iron Maiden and like just like he bought like the My Chemical Romance CD when it came out and stuff. Like so he was like had a radio show in college and was kind of tapped into like just like alternative rock and like harder stuff and heavy metal. Lots of Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. And mostly Iron Maiden, though. We like always listened to Iron Maiden together when we were younger. And then in school, I played saxophone, and I like fell in love with that. And I still play like to this day. I don't play as much as I should, but I still fiddle around on it. I put it on some Full of Hell stuff. And yeah, I always like wanted to play the guitar. I always like Randy Rhoads a lot, and my uncle got me a Warlock Bronze Series BC Rich guitar for Christmas one year, and me and my mom tried to put strings on it and put them on all backwards and upside down, and it was all crazy looking. I tried to learn Breaking the Law, and then just like wanted to learn how to play guitar. And then I met up with Dave and Brandon, and eventually met Spencer. Bought a guitar from Spencer from working at the pizza shop. That was the first guitar I bought with my own money. And it was one of those SG, ESP, SGs. I don't remember exactly what the model is called. And then we started Jarhead when we were really young. We were like 14. And then from then on, like I met the Full Hell guys. And when they let Brandon go, they just asked me to join since I was like a kid in the neighborhood that also like was into the music and played in the other band. And I had like touring experience before. So like there was that. And then we all just kind of just became friends. It's been good ever since.
So you were in Jarhead by the time you were 14 already?
Yeah, Jarhead was like, we started freshman year of high school. Our first show was the Battle of the Bands at our high school.
Wow. Did you win?
No, we got disqualified. They shut the curtains on us.
Why?
We played for too long and we weren't supposed to. And we had like one of the first songs we would play like for like 15 minutes because it's just the same riff over and over again. So they shut the curtains and Dave said, "We're not done." And we just kept playing. And all like the staff had to like try to turn our amps off, and we're like holding them back. Dave's like fighting off like the theater kids that were like trying to get him to stop playing drums. It was real funny. Spencer actually set up noise like gear, and we didn't even sign him up. So he just came in and was just like a random dude on the stage with us. They were not very happy with us.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that you just kept playing. That's very punk rock.
Yeah, people were like not ready for it, and they were like running with their like infant children like out of the auditorium full speed. Like we had feedback cranked. None of us knew how to like set our amps or anything, so it was just like psycho style.
That's amazing. What about your relationship with punk, hardcore, metal, underground music? Like, how did you get into that whole thing?
I think like so me and Vinny like had we became friends and we wanted to start a band and we were like very young, like 10, like in going to Warped Tour and stuff with our parents, and like we wanted to do that. And then we met Dave and Brandon and Spencer, and then we started listening to stuff like Drop Dead and Bad Skulls t-shirts actually helped me like get into a lot of bands. Like I was like, I want a Charles Bronson shirt, and my dad loved movies, so he was like, hell yeah. And they ended up sending like the wrong package, and I got like a Drop Dead t-shirt and like a Look Back and Laugh compilation like of their records and a California Love shirt on accident. And like so I just started like looking up all the bands on Bad Skulls t-shirts and like looking up like the Locust, found Dystopia, and then like from then on YouTube like pretty much like helped me just like get into like an algorithm of like all that style of things. And we just wanted to play fast, and like we like Discordant Axis and like Disrupt and stuff. So we like wanted to start a band, and we saw that Dino would do the vocals with the drums, and we were like, all right, Dave, we gotta try to do that. And we had two basses in Jarhead at first because we really liked Man is the Bastard. And growing up with like Spencer and stuff, like he like always had a cool like Insect Warfare shirt, and we're like, oh, what's that about? And like we would all like bounce off music to each other like on MySpace and Facebook and stuff like that, and then just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, I like some of those influences there, especially that young. That's really good stuff to be into at that age.
Yeah, it was definitely like I think Vinny went to a Weekend Nachos and Triac show, or like maybe it was two separate shows, but it was like a Triac and Ceremony show in Baltimore, and he was like, dude, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then we just kind of like took a little bit, and we were like, this is really cool. Like took a little bit of getting used to of like some of the raw recording stuff, but once you get over that, it was just like, all right, I'm ready to dive in. Like, how fast can we get? How like crazy can like you play the guitar? How crazy can you play the drums? Like what capacity can you make your voice sound? Like I don't know. It's just like nothing you've ever heard before. And like I think Carcass also was like a big thing for me because like I heard Heartwork and I was like, this is just Iron Maiden with like zombie vocals. This is crazy. I love it.
Yeah, I was curious about stuff you were into because, Jarhead Fertilizer and Full of Hell, some serious metal and death metal influence, and the grindy stuff, of course. And those are areas of music that I'm not super familiar with because, I came in on like technical metallic hardcore, Dillinger Escape Plan and Converge and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I never really delved too deep into the metal side of things, but it's definitely something that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, with the Jarhead stuff, we definitely like a lot of Finnish death metal and like Demolik and Belial and stuff like that, and then like Mortal Decay for like influences like that. And then I think once we switched to the two guitars, we definitely like started writing more and more metal stuff. With the two basses, we were trying to get a little grind, like a little like groovy grind with like a little metal influence, kind of like Plutocracy style. But I think we like found a pocket and a groove to like get with the little like bouncier like death metal groovy guitar parts. And then for Full of Hell, like we all love like death metal and like anything from death metal to like Nirvana and like the Melvins and like Sub Pop stuff. So we're all like into noise rock, and we wrote all those grindcore records and stuff, and we like really like the hardcore punk. And I saw Full of Hell before I was in the band when I was really young, and they like covered Crowbar, and it was like, so like even back then it's just like a mix of influences. And I think with this last record we've like really pinned it down and like got a little bit of the death metal stuff that we like, got a lot of the noise rock stuff that we like been meaning to try out and like do. And I think that with Full of Hell it's like everybody loves all sorts of stuff, like between like black metal, and we all love hip hop and noise and everything like that. So it's like a big mix of things. And I think this last record really like pinned it down like pretty good for like how we are we wanted to sound and like have been meaning to like evolve into?
Yeah, big time. You know, before I heard it, I expected just full on blast beats like all the time, you know. But there all that stuff that you're describing is in there. You'll hear like doomy Melvin's riff, and then some death metal stuff, and just different elements that I wasn't expecting. And it's very nicely put together.
Thank you, thank you. I think that and Spencer's like for writing it, and Spencer was stopped doing international tours, so he had a lot of time home, and I think he got to like really explore like how he wanted to riff it out, and then like coming back and forth between the tours, like all of us fleshing it out together between like doing the collabs with Nothing and Primitive Man, like working together like that, and I think that like it helped us like pull it all together in the studio, gaining like knowledge from like our peers and all that.
Right, right. Yeah, I read that Spencer stopped touring internationally. Why is that?
I just don't think that he likes the travel, and I think it stresses him out a little too much. And I just think if he just doesn't want to handle it, like or can't handle it, like, and he wants to have Gabe do it, like I think that it's better for everybody if that's going to make him feel better. So it's a good thing. I think that he feels like bad to go. It makes him feel like awful. So we just are good with him sitting out, and it makes it work so we can do those things, and then he doesn't have to stress out or anything like that. So it's pretty good system. And then when we play in the US, it's 5 pieces, five members, so it's like a fun little like change up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that you know, he recognizes that, and that everyone can just work with him on it, because yeah, travel is really difficult for me. I mean, some people don't seem to mind it, but I don't know. I'm particular. I it's hard for me to travel. It's even harder for me to travel with a bunch of people. And I'm the kind of person who needs to constantly be doing something. So if I'm just sitting, or if I'm just sitting around, I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah. And then like sometimes like when you're in like places like Southeast Asia, sometimes like back in the day we didn't really have the best like travel people to be with, and like we were getting like left at airports with like all of our stuff, having to walk like miles with it. And like I don't think like if he doesn't want to like if he can't handle that, and he recognizes that, like if it works out better, like we're willing to do it, and like it works out good.
That's another thing. Now it sounds like you've done some international travel. I've done a little bit, but yeah, like if you're in a country where they don't speak English at all, like how do you get around? I mean, are there signs in English? Can you just kind of figure it out? Like I can't imagine looking at a transit app in a completely different language and figuring out where I'm going.
Yeah, so like most of the time we have like people with us that are like from the area, and they like are like handling us like travel, like take us to places to eat, and like, oh, you want to go see the nightlife and stuff like that. But then there's been times where like we've gone rogue and like had to take trains in Japan and stuff, and like in the middle of the night. And if you like hop a train in Japan, like you have to have the ticket from the last one to get onto the next one. So if you like try to skip over it, like they're like, where did the ticket go? And then you're just stuck. So like it gets a little dicey sometimes, but that's if you want to go out and like party and do whatever. But usually it's pretty easy with like your guides and stuff. You just want to stick to the normal stuff. It's not too hard. Now there's Google Translate, so you can like speak into your phone and translate it to whatever language you want, and like have full conversations with people. Set it to like if you're speaking French to somebody, you can set your phone to like hear French and English, and it'll translate both of them for you. So that's pretty helpful now. But yeah, it's not fun being like stuck in the middle of like France and being like, where's this building, and nobody wants to talk to you because you don't speak French and you're English, and they just like, you know, they scoff at you, they walk away, they're like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, they're like us.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I can barely get around here. So just the thought of being stranded in the middle of a country where I don't know what to do or where to go, it could be pretty overwhelming.
I have to still drive around with Google Maps on my phone in Philly. I've lived there for like 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all right, you know what? Philly and the suburbs, some of the suburbs are the one place where I could drive without Google Maps if I needed to, because I lived there.
Yeah.
And drove there for so long, and before Google Maps and MapQuest and all that stuff. But anywhere after that, New York City, I've been here for 12 years now. I still have to use Google Maps for everything.
Yeah, if I get up by the Wissahickon and my phone dies or I lose service, I'm up there for like an hour until I can get it back. Like I don't know where. I'm just driving around in circles.
I'm curious, how old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay, because you said your dad had the original My Chemical Romance CD.
Yeah, he bought it when it came out. He was like, "This looks cool," like, you know.
Because, like, yeah, it sounds like your parents, like, they were on to some of the same music too. So I was like, oh, you must be pretty young.
Yeah, so like my dad said that my mom was pregnant with me, and they went to go see Tad, and they went to go see the Lords of Acid in the beginning, like when she was like when I just started cooking in the oven.
Yeah.
So I guess they would go see he'd go see the Melvins and stuff all the time. Like we played with the Melvins once, and I got him a signed poster and stuff, and he was like so happy about it. He like loves all that stuff. So they're like they're like younger. They're like just twice my age. So
Yeah.
they were all he's like always he's like loved horror movies and stuff since he was a kid. My mom's like a talented artist and like does paintings and stuff. And they just been cool. Like my mom has a Thursday T-shirt when we were growing up. I thought that was really funny.
Nice.
And yeah, they just like cool shit. They're really cool parents. I got really lucky with that.
Yeah, so it sounds like they don't have any problem with you pursuing music and being out there touring or anything.
At first, they were like, "What the hell are you doing, dude?" Like they like we're like, "We got to go play the abandoned like teenager penitentiary in Baltimore for like Filth City Fest." And they're like, "You're 15." I'm like, "Yeah, well, whatever. Like, I'm gonna go. Can we borrow the car?" Or like, what? We borrow Brandon's mom's car. And they're like, yeah, they could just borrowing cars to play shows. I drove on the wrong side of the road in Baltimore in my dad's Jeep when we played Charm City Art Space one time. And we were like, I just got my license. It's like the first time they let me borrow the car to go play a gig. And it was like, they were just like, never again, dude. And then
you drove on the wrong side of the road?
Yeah, so it's like a big bridge and it looks like a two-sided road. So I was just like, oh, I'll just pull up to the fucking venue. And it just like U-turned on like from where I was parked across the street. And they were like, there was a cop right next to me. They were like, boop. So not too long. I realized immediately what had happened. And I was like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. But
did you get a ticket or something?
Oh yeah, I got a big ticket. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive that you're that young and you're already playing shows and, out there and traveling for gigs and stuff.
Yeah, I got really lucky. They were like pretty hesitant at first, I think, to let me like go on tour and stuff. But then I think eventually like they saw like, oh, okay, he like actually has to do this. And then I had to write a letter to our like high school to be like, hey, I'm going to miss all these days of my senior year and I have bad grades, but this is like what I'm going to do. And they were like, they called me in the office and he was like, oh, so you're like you're booked on a tour. Like it's an actual thing. You're going to play to people. And we were like, well, maybe like 10 but yeah. And he was like, all right, I'm not going to fuck this up for you. Like just pass the school, like get fucking C's or whatever. Like as much as you can, like we'll figure it out. I had to go to night school for like half of the senior year. So I'd go to school for like 10 hours a day from like 7 to 7, actually like 12. So I did that.
Wait a second. Are you're saying 7 at night until 7 in the morning?
For 7 in the morning to 7 at night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Still though, that's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't have enough credits to pass and I refused to not take band class. So I was like, whatever I got to do. And they were like, well, you got to stay for an extra like 6 hours. I was like, all right.
Was there other kids there doing that too?
Not like for the reason that I was doing it. There was like kids that were pregnant and like kids that were like bad off on drugs and stuff. So it was a fun class. Like everyone was nice and stuff, but like reading Macbeth with like the class dopehead is a fun experience.
That does sound fun. So you had dope heads in your class already. That's pretty amazing. I bet I did too, but I just didn't know about it.
Yeah, so Ocean City's pretty gnarly like with that stuff. It's a really small town and there's nothing to do in the wintertime. So like everybody comes in the summertime, we make all the money and then nobody has anything to do for 7 months out of the year. So there's just a lot of drugs. It's like close to like there's Baltimore. It's like right in the middle of everything. So you can go to Baltimore, you can go to Philly, you can go down to Virginia. It's right on the water. So people like there's a lot of fishing too. So everybody who's like does like all the overnight fishing and stuff. Like a lot of people are doing hard drugs like to stay up or like to keep like the pain from like blowing their back out or like cutting their hand up or something from like fishing or getting caught up in the line or something like that. So like, there's a big drug problem there. So like, yeah, there's kids like doing pills, smoking heroin and shit. Like also kids overdosing in our high school all the time.
Wow. Yeah, and Baltimore and Philly, those are the two best heroin markets on the East Coast. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Philly's giving everybody a run for their money right now. It's actually pretty sad what they're doing. The police like displaced a bunch of people recently, and it's a rough area in Philly for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I lived in Kensington, not like K&A, but Kensington I lived in, and it was a 10-minute walk into that neighborhood to go pick up whatever I wanted. And there's actually a live stream on YouTube where they show those corners, and I've been watching it, and I saw that whole sweep happen where they displaced everybody.
Yeah, it's a bummer. And like a few years ago, they like fire hosed a bunch of people like living under a bridge and stuff, and like they just keep fucking up the city. Like the city keeps fucking up, and like everybody, they need to just figure out something better to do. Like it's sad. Like I drive by it every day, and it's just like when you take your like if your friends like take if you take your friends from like Oakland there, and like they're like this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. Like it's not good.
Oh yeah, yeah, big time. Yeah, it's like they got to figure out a more permanent solution. It's like sweeping leaves in the wind. I mean, they just keep moving everybody. Where are they going to go? What are they going to do?
There's nowhere for them to go. The people want to like capitalize on the like real estate, and like there's not even like safe injection spots or any like harm reduction. Like there's a little bit, but like not as much as it should be. Like for like what is going on.
Did you ever fall victim to any of that stuff?
No, I've had like friends like all growing up and stuff do a lot of hard drugs, and I've like had to be around a lot of it. So I personally haven't delved into any of the heroin, but I know a lot of people who have, and I've seen what it does to people.
Have you always just like been focused on music? You never got out of control with partying or anything?
Oh no, I was like drinking and doing all sorts of cocaine and like speed and shit like that. But I've been a year sober on the 14th. For the day we get back from this, I'll be a year free of drinking and doing drugs. So
congrats.
I still smoke weed, but I don't really party anymore. It was just like into a point where I've been on tour all the time, and like you go to Europe, you do speed for like a week, and then like you come home and you feel like shit, and then you like go on tour again and you just drink every day for a month, and like that with the drinking comes like coke and stuff. So it's like you just like fall into a cycle, and then like one day I just like was like I can't fucking keep up with this. Like it's just like I was throwing up all the time. And then we did an acacia strain tour, and I had something go wrong with my stomach, and I like threw up for like 3-4 days straight, like recycling whole cases of water, like throwing up nonstop. Playing a show, I had to go to the hospital, get like a heart machine put up to me, and like a shot in my stomach. It was awful. And then, like after that, I kind of chilled out, and I was like, maybe I should stop doing this. Like my teeth were like going and stuff. I was puking every day. If it wasn't like from being hungover from the booze, it was like all the not drinking water and doing coke and having to lay in your stomach. It was just not a good thing.
Yeah, I just celebrated another year sober. Yeah. So how did you stop? Did you just reach a point and you're like, that's it, and then you stopped? Like, how did you manage to stop?
Yeah, I was having a really hard time, like just like with life, and I was in the airport on the way to a European tour, and then I sat on a plane for 8 hours and just like had a fucking horrible time. And after that, I was just like, I'm just gonna stop. I'm just gonna try to stop drinking. And I was like drinking NAs. Like told our tour manager Tim, he's like a great fucking dude, super supportive. And he was like, I'll put it on the rider, and I'll make sure that you have them every day, and like I'll make sure you can get some weed and stuff. Like, and I just like I had some buddies too that I skate and like golf and like hang out with a lot, and they were getting sober and they helped me a lot. Brandon, our guitar player, he doesn't drink anymore, and I was just like not, I was just bumming, and I just like set a little app on my phone, and then like once it had a number that I physically saw every day, and like I felt like I was like doing a disservice to myself if I ever had to like click that off. So I just crushed NAs and smoked like weed about it, and now I just don't even want to do that. I just drink iced tea and like coffee.
Nice. Did you lose any friends in that process? Like there was friends I had here that I had to stop seeing for a long time. There's other people that I had to stop seeing for a long time because that association was too strong. What about you?
Yeah, I think like a lot after COVID too. Like we were like a lot of our friend group, like we all had worked at a bar together, and then like it was like, oh, it's the end of the world now when we're all like living together, hanging out. Like we all partied so hard during COVID and stuff. Like not like having parties, but like within our circle, and it was just like really gnarly. And I think we were all like a lot of people dropped off after that, and a lot of people like didn't want to hang out anymore. And then then once I started drinking, yeah, I could see, like, once I stopped drinking, actually, like, I could see, like, people would, like, give me fucking bad looks, like, when I would, like, deny a shot, or, like, oh, I don't drink anymore, and they'd be like, oh, what the fuck is wrong with you? Or, like, call me a pussy or something like that. So, like, yeah, I've definitely weeded out, like, people that I have, like, it's like, oh, if you just, like, want to have me as a party friend, like, what's the actual, like, the benefit of having you in my life kind of deal? And, like, I think that that's, like, a good thing now. And, like, before I was like, I just want to be friends with everybody, like, and now it's just like, you don't really need everybody to be like your friend, especially if it's just going to like harm you in the long run. So I feel like cutting people out is good sometimes, especially if it's like trying to better yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Like before, my only concern was going out to bars with people and being in the mix and being friends with everyone or whatever. That was it. I wasn't doing shit else. But then once I put all that down, that's when I really started doing things that I wanted to do, bands or podcasts or, whatever else I was doing. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go back to that.
Yeah. And I love buying movies and stuff. So I now I just take all that money that I don't spend at the bar, and I'm like, all right, now I can get a Blu-ray or two here and there, and like take that money and put it somewhere else. It feels good. I have a lot more time and waking up in the morning. I wake up early now.
What time are you waking up these days?
When I'm home, like consistently, I try to wake up around 8 o'clock. But like, I know that's not like super early, but if I'm working, I'll like try to get up at like 6, like during the 5 days, like Monday through Friday, and like get into work around 7:30. But if
8 is early for a musician.
Yeah.
I was getting up at 8, but I'm getting up at 6 now because I started running. I'm trying to get in shape for playing gigs. I'm in a band that's going to be playing gigs again, and it's going to be very strenuous. So I'm getting up super early now, and it's awesome because like sometimes I'll get up and run and work out and do all this stuff, or like watch an entire movie, and then all that's done, and it's only like 10 a.m.
Oh yeah,
and it feels like a superpower. I'm like, oh my God, I did all this stuff, and I still have the entire day ahead of me.
Yeah. No, I love waking up and making coffee, watch a movie, or like I print some T-shirts here and there too, like on the side, and like just get all that done, and then it's like 12 o'clock. Go skateboard with your friends, or like you just have the whole day to do whatever.
Yeah.
Or if you like want to go to work or something, you just go in, like you have the whole morning done. I've been doing that a lot, trying to do the night shift so I can just get all my stuff done during the day. Feels like I have like two full days then,
Full of Hell. You have been in this band since 2015, right?
Yep.
So you said you knew the guys already because just through Jarhead Fertilizer or from being friends. So, once they needed a new bass player, you were, was there other contenders, or did you just get the job?
I think so. I think I just got the job. We were just hanging out one day, and they were like, hey, I think this is going to happen. Would you be interested in doing this? And I was like, yep. And like Brandon's a really good friend and stuff, so it was kind of like it was like a tough thing for like a young me to like deal with. Like, oh, I feel like I'm like fucking over my friend for taking his spot and like doing this and that. But like now, like we're all good and stuff. But now, like that I reflect on it now, it's like he told me it's like he'd rather like somebody that he knows like do it and stuff. So back then it was kind of hard, and like he was in Jarhead, so we were like worried he was gonna quit, but everything is fine. And
so you were friends with him, and you knew beforehand.
He plays in Jarhead. We're all original members in Jarhead. So
okay.
So we've all been together.
So you knew ahead of time that he wasn't going to be in Full of Hell anymore?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We also had a show where Jarhead was supposed to play with 25 to Life, and we didn't want to tell him because we didn't want him to quit, so we'd had to drop the show. And then the show never actually happened, so it was like this whole weird, dramatic little kid thing, but everything's it turned out fine. Everybody's fine.
Did he? And he stayed in Jarhead, you said?
Yeah. He's in Jarhead.
That's good that everything worked out, because that's, well, I don't know if that's not usually the case, but it could very easily go south.
Yeah. I think we've all just been friends for so long, and it's just like we're not just going to let something stupid like that ruin like another thing that we have that can also like potentially like reach those like surfaces and like kind of be at the level of Full of Hell anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's amazing when people can be mature like that, because when I was young, I could not be mature. Like I had Tom from Indecision on the show, and they like kicked him out of that band, and he was like, well, I wanted to still go to shows and hang out with everyone, so we stayed cool. And I was like, Man, I wouldn't have been cool. Like if I got kicked out of the band, I would have thrown a temper tantrum and stopped talking to everybody. But look, I just think it's great when people can be mature about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just like some people just don't work well together, and like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, you know?
Yeah, that's just the way it is in band situations.
Yeah.
Full of Hell has done a lot of collaboration records with awesome bands: Health, Primitive Man, Nothing, The Body. Now you've been part of some of these, obviously, right?
Yeah. So I've been a part of like from on the second Body collab. So Brandon did the first Body collab, and then I'm on the second one, and then I did all the rest of that stuff too.
How does this work? It's probably different for each band, but like, does everyone just get in a room and start playing? Like, is there two bass players there? Do you and another bass player have to figure out who's going to play what? Like, give us some insight into how this works.
So the Body is like just two people. So it's just guitar and drums. And like we do a lot of electronic stuff. We would just go into the studio, we'd book time, and we'd go every day and be like, all right, well, we're going to make a song today. And then we would do and work on that until that song was done, and then just move on to another one. And like, who's got an idea? And then with the Primitive Man collab, it was everybody in the room with every instrument. There's two drummers, there's two basses, there's two guitars, there's two singers, there's everything. There's two noise things. So like we doubled up everything on that record. There's a part where Dave and Joe are blasting, and like Joe is doing like just the one counts and Dave is blasting over it, and it sounds insane. And then for the Nothing collab, we all wrote it beforehand and then like refined it in the studio all together. So we had like a practice, and we performed it at Roadburn with practicing it like 2 times, and then we recorded it after that.
How was playing Roadburn Festival? That must have been legendary.
Oh yeah, Roadburn is a really cool festival. The first year we played was with the Body on a European tour, and we got to see Gizm, which is one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. And then the second time we got to do the residency, and we got to play 5 shows. It was like right after COVID, so it was like everybody got to be out again and hang out. It was like a big party weekend. It was super fun. And it's just like that town, Tilburg, is like so nice. And like you just go hang out and have food and like outside. And even when it rains, it's like pretty there. It's really like nice town. So it's like a good place to have that festival too. It's amazing.
Is the venue like one spot where everyone goes in to watch bands? What's the layout like?
It's like there's multiple venues like across the whole city. So there's multiple stages going all at once, and it's just like the whole town like prepares for it all year round, and like they set up the whole town for it. It's just really cool. There's like multiple stages. You're just walking around all day. You can stop in, get a food, get a beer, get a drink, do whatever.
Nice. So it sounds like a similar layout to South by Southwest. Like everything is
way better put together than South by Southwest. But yes,
it has to be. It has to be because as far as I know, Roadburn isn't getting the army to sponsor them. So
yeah.
These collaborations that Full of Hell does, this is really cool, and I don't think I've seen another band do this many collaborations. Like, how did you guys start doing that? How did you get the idea to do that?
I think we just started, like, we did the Merzbow thing, and then I think from there the guys were like, let's do a Body collab. And then it was just like, we like making music with our friends. So it's like, why not just like collaborate like both of our projects together and like just like do something fun and different. I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's cool to make stuff with your friends. And I think that like if you have the platform to do so, you should do it, take advantage of it, and like do cool stuff with your friends, and hopefully people like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, you're getting these unique pairings of bands and unique artistic output, and yeah, I just think it's cool that you guys do that with all these different bands, because I can't think of another band who's done this many collaborations. It's a unique thing. I like it.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. It's like the Health one was weird because we was just friends of friends like saw the Full of Health T-shirt, and they were like, "Yo, is that with the band?" And we were like, "No." He was like, "Well, I'm friends with them. Like, you want me to hit them up? Like, you guys want to do something?" And we were like, "Oh shit!" And then we just like started talking, and then that happened out of like that. It was just like a real funny, weird thing.
Yeah, that story was hilarious to me. So everyone out there, if you haven't seen it, Full of Hell did a Full of Health shirt, and on the shirt there's just like people exercising or
eating vegetables.
Yeah. So that's so funny that a health collaboration came out of that shirt. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's just little things like that like can just like blossom into something really awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Here's a question. Have you ever started a collaboration with someone and it started to go horribly wrong and you called it off?
Not yet. We have not done that yet. But I know, like, everybody who's like in a band has like different personalities and stuff. So it's like kind of it might be hard sometimes to like all land on one idea, but like the group effort at the end is like it helps a lot and stuff. Like even if people like bicker on stuff, like what the end result, like it's all for a reason. So I don't think anything. I don't think we would do a collab with somebody that we would think that would happen with, because we just usually try to do it with our friends and stuff. So if we don't really know them that well, like it's like kind of harder, I think. But like we're not opposed to doing that, but like so far it's just been like the homies and like trying to keep it like just like building with your friends. So that's all like we've been trying to do. So hopefully it doesn't get to a point that it might end a friendship. But
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I was thinking about this recently. Get this. All right. So before, like when I would be in between bands or not in a band, I would notice that the music scenes were very insular. People are working with people they know, or they only want to work with people they know. And I would get mad about that sometimes. But I understand it now, because a band is an intimate thing. And you hear people say all the time, oh, it's like being in a relationship with however many people. But that's true. That's true. In a lot of cases, the artist is putting very personal things out there, whether it be overt or not. And you have to reveal a lot of yourself, and you have to spend a lot of time with the people you're in the band with. So I understand why people would only want to work with people that they know. Like I've been in situations where I just join a band, or, you try out people from the internet and they join, and it can be weird.
yeah, and then I feel like if you were just doing collabs with like bands that just like, oh hey, here's money, you want to do a collab, like I feel like that's just like just not genuine, and like
Right.
it would like
Right.
the end product wouldn't help anybody, and it would just kind of just be doing it for like the wrong reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So it just sounds like you're doing it naturally when you connect with people, or when they see a shirt that you've made.
Yeah.
So Full of Hell just put out Coagulated Bliss in April of this year. Yes.
Yep.
And I read that this was like the most personal Full of Hell record yet. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. It's like a lot about like the small town growing up and upbringing. It's a lot about Ocean City and all of our families and different like hardships we've all dealt with, with that, like the drug addiction and like just like being in a small, weird, desolate place and being the outcast and doing doing your best and like trying to like make the best out of like a really shitty situation.
How does the creative process in Full of Hell work? Like, does one person kick off an idea and other people contribute? Tell me how it works.
Yeah, so Spencer writes a lot of the riffs, and then we all kind of just like collab on that together. Like, does this sound right? Does this part go here? And it's about a lot of Spencer and Dave practicing like through guitar riffs with the drums, and then like we'll have the bass come in, and Gabe will like take the skeleton of Spencer's guitar and spruce it up a bit. But for Coagulated Bliss, Gabe wasn't in the band yet, so he didn't record on that. So it was just a lot of Spencer and Dave writing stuff, and then like me coming in, like trying to figure out some parts. And we have the bass 6 now in the mix, so there's fun like back and forth between the different tunings, and I get to play a bass 6 on the record. And there's some funny parts in there where we came in and like we're not sure what to do with this, and there's some funny bass 6 riffs on some of the tracks.
When you say bass 6, what is that?
It's like in between a guitar and a bass. It's not necessarily a baritone guitar, but Fender makes them. It's like in the Jazzmaster style. It's like it sounds like a bass. It has 6 strings. You can play chords on it like a guitar.
I wonder. I saw Quicksand, right? And Sergio was not playing just a bass. He was playing what looked like a guitar, but it sounded like bass. I bet that's what he was playing.
Yeah, so like, the Cure and stuff, and New Order, and they use a bass 6 and stuff too for some of those like weird bass lines that kind of sound like a weird guitar. It's a bass 6.
See, I've been wondering about that since I saw that show like last year, and now I think I have the answer. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, for sure. They're fun. They're fun to play with. They're really cool instruments.
How about lyrically or themes? I mean, do you guys collaborate on that? How does that come about?
Dylan writes all of the lyrics, and so that's all him sing. We he writes them all, and then we get in the studio, and he's like, "These are your parts." So that's as much as I know about the lyrical content of the records. He's really talented at writing and stuff. He has like a really good writing head for that.
Yeah. What about like album art or themes or that kind of stuff? Like, do you guys collaborate on that, or does Dylan kind of lay it out for you? How does that work?
Yeah, we collaborate on all the artwork and stuff. So for this one, we took pictures of all of our like childhood like spots and like in town in Ocean City, and like took pictures of the beaches, and like all the stuff on the record is like a reference to that, like the torn up boardwalk sign, and like there's just like, you know, the wildlife, like there's the marsh and like the woods and the swamp and stuff. That's like not just like that's not just like pretty beach all the time. You know, there's like there's like the stinky marsh and shit too. So we like took pictures of all that and like sent it to Brian, and he just went nuts. And we wanted to do a more colorful record than the like last three, because we love Mark's we love Mark's artwork and stuff. But we just wanted to have like a different vibe, you know, like the black and white is really cool, but we just wanted to switch it over. And we always loved Brian's artwork is super psycho. So, and he's also a very good friend. He would like, we'd stay at his house and stuff. He's giving me tattoos, and we wanted to incorporate that into that too. So it's like all homies through that too.
Nice. Yeah, I read a quote from you in another interview where you said when you're writing, you know, you just need to go with what feels right? Like you could write the best riff ever, but then you just have the best riff ever. So what? So do you go by feeling typically?
Yeah, I think so. I think like if it feels janky to you, then you probably shouldn't play it. Like if then you're just kind of like what, like if you feel weird playing it in a room with like your friend, like your closest friends that you're in a band with, like imagine feel like that feeling playing it in like a room, like with full of people. And like I don't know, I feel like it's better to like feel it fully than like just half-ass it. So I feel like if you're writing a riff just to write it and like be the best band, that's not like, you should just do you, and like that's like the best I feel like that you're gonna get is like whatever feels the best to you.
Yeah, I think there's a real specific feeling when you know you're heading in the right direction or you hit on something. Do you feel that as well?
Yeah, like when you figure out like your first riff, like when you write it or something like that, it's like landing like an ollie for the first time. You're like, there it is, like that's what I want to do, like, and then like from there, like it just like stems, like you can just get whatever moves you want to go, flare it up, like just like if you like that style, then you just like perfect it, do you.
Yeah, it's still so fascinating to me. Like, there's a guitar sitting behind me in my room, and I'm like, I could sit there and play that thing for hours and make a really cool song out of it. All I have to do is go over there and pick it up and start playing it. It's still so fascinating to me. I wish I did it more, but listen, when I need to sit down and do it, I do it.
Yeah, that's always a hard part too. Like especially if you're on tour a lot, like you kind of don't want to play guitar when you get home, or like play bass when you get home, but then you have to, you know, you got to keep up with it.
Right.
But it's good to practice. I feel like that's part of like the hardest part is like practicing. And like
right.
once you get in a rhythm of that, like just like 30 minutes a day, it's like instead of sitting on your phone, you could like just practice a riff. Like there's Instagram, like people are putting up tabs on like reels for people to learn how to play. Like if you're sitting on your phone, like learn that little riff right there, and like that's just going to make you better at playing.
I saw one yesterday. This guy was doing like independent finger exercises on the guitar, so he could do like just his index finger and the middle finger, or just the middle finger and the pinky finger. And I was like, this is the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, people are getting out of control. But like the internet is there. Like you can, like I just learned guitar, like learning songs like through tabs, just like trying to figure out how to write tabs, like going on guitartab.com. The internet is like a serious resource. It's like sucks to like, it rots your brain, but like you can learn like anything you want through YouTube now. Like
yeah, it's so good. People have it so good now. Like when I started learning guitar, it was those guitar tabs that people would tab out on like Windows Notepad, which was fine. It was enough, and I would learn Dashboard Confessional songs and stuff, and that's how I learned to play.
Yeah.
Is it hard for you to be on tour at all now that you're not drinking anymore and doing other stuff?
No, it's not. I think it's a little different now that because like I used to just get drunk and pass out and like just like sleep anywhere. But I think like the hard part now is just like I just want to have like a clean space and like, you know, and like just like have my own like little cubby and do my own things. So it's like it's hard to like manage that, like being home and like wanting to have a cup of coffee in the morning and like, oh, you don't get to do that all the time. So it's like I'm just like finding out little things that I didn't really notice before because I was like too drunk to care. But other than that, I'm having a great time. It's like much easier to like wake up in the morning. Like I don't have to like rush to take a 5-second shower because like I slept in because I'm hungover. It's like much easier, and I can play better. I'm not fucking up there drunk on stage.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like I would play I didn't play a show sober until, let's see, what was last year? 2023. I think that was the first time because, you know, I did a band when I first got sober, but then we didn't make it to our first show, but we put out a record. So I didn't play a sober show for the first time until last year, I think. And that's pretty trippy, but it's way better because before I was just sloppy and just kind of too concerned with going crazy. But then, you know, once I'm sober, I'm just like, okay, let me focus on playing and, you know, throw in some guitar swinging when appropriate.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely like can like, yeah, and then you don't like risk like just toppling over and like thinking like, oh, I'm going to do this sick move. And then you just like fall or like you like lose balance, unplug yourself. Like there's so many things that can happen. And it's just, I used to think that I couldn't do vocals without like having a few beers or something like that. And it's just much easier. Like, I'm not like straining my fucking throat trying to like scream like a few like words here and there throughout the set.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can like hear everything and it's just easier. Yeah. It's not like a whirlwind of just like, am I going to be able to stand up?
How did you figure out how to do that style of vocals? Was it just, you know, just doing it and practicing and figuring out what works and what doesn't? How'd you do it?
Yeah, I just kind of went with it. I was trying to do high vocals for a little bit and it just kind of like hurt and didn't feel right. And then I was like, let me just try to get a little lower with it. And then I think breathing like from playing saxophone and stuff with your diaphragm and shit, I like tried to apply that to it and just like loosened my jaw and then it came out and I was like, oh yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we've got coming up. We know that you are on tour with Jarhead Fertilizer right now. So we just put out the excellent Carceral Warfare on Closed Casket Activities last year. So yeah, that must have been great to have Jarhead sign with Closed Casket, right? Did that happen through your relationship with Full of Hell?
Yeah. Justin's a great friend of ours and like he does a lot of stuff for Full of Hell and we were like, yo, we got this record because product of my environment, the first one that he did, that was written for like maybe 4 or 5 years before we like actually sat down and recorded it because Full of Hell got busy. We were all like doing acid and like selling drugs and shit. And so we were like, I guess we're still a band maybe. And then now we're all like not doing that and able to function as a whole. So we did that record. And then we were like, all right, time to write the second one. And then we booked recording, and basically, like Dave sat in his house for like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, and like finished up like 4 or 5 of the songs. And we were like almost writing up until like the last day, or like the day before recording. It was pretty insane. But we got it pumped out. Stoked about it. It's like a lot of like the more death metal influences stuff that we got to like play with this record and utilize the 2 guitars more. So this time around, because the first record was written for 2 bass players, and now we have 2 guitar players instead, and like applying those riffs like with the 2 bass players and the guitars, like kind of like messed up a little of the stuff. So we got to really like use that to the fullest for the Carceral Warfare.
Yeah, Carceral is just straight brutality. I love it. You know, I'm not a huge death metal guy, but I like it. I mean, it's heavy. It's got riffs. How could anyone not like that? I mean, come on.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So you've got this tour now that you're on. What do we have coming up for Jarhead?
I think we're going to try to write some materials for some splits. We're still kind of working that out, but I don't know if we're going to play any more shows for the rest of this year. I think we're probably going to like focus on writing some stuff, getting our band working again, and then we're playing New England Metal and Hardcore Fest in September. I think that's the last show for Jarhead of this year. We might try to book a little fest in Philly with some of our friends, but we'll see. Then we have Sound and Fury with Full of Hell, and then in August we're going to Australia and Southeast Asia, and then in November and December we're also doing a U.S. tour with Full of Hell. So I'm pretty busy between. It's pretty pretty busy between both of us.
So it sounds like, wait, so have you been to Australia before? Have you toured there before?
Yeah, we've been there before. It's
How is it there?
It's pretty crazy. It's really hot. It's really nice. Everybody's pretty much on one all the time down there, and it's pretty expensive. That's a thing, but it's really cool. Like we haven't gone this time. We're gonna go and do all like the touristy stuff, like hold the koalas, and we're going to New Zealand, so we're gonna do all the Lord of the Rings shit. But I don't know, dude. It's like the environment and like just like outside, like the water and like just like the swimming holes and everything. It's like crazy. It's like you're on a different planet.
Yeah, that's what I imagine it like. I hope I can make it there someday. What is it, like a 20, 30 hour flight or something?
I think it's like 18, maybe. Yeah, it's definitely not a good flight.
That's rough.
Yeah, I'm like not excited. Last time I did it, I just like drank wine the whole time and fell asleep. So this time it'll be like, what am I gonna do? Like first,
listen to 18 episodes of a podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna like load up my phone on the offline Criterion channel probably and just like pound out movies.
There you go. That's what I just listen to podcasts. That's the only time I listen to them is when I fly. That's it.
Oh yeah. I listen to them a lot at work.
I caught you with on that tour with End. What was that, late last year?
End tour. I think that was in like December, yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I saw you here in Brooklyn. How was that tour?
That was a good tour. That was fun. Another mixed bill. We got to hang out with Inner Arma, and Wake was on the tour too. It was fun. Yeah, definitely cool. And like our other band before Jarhead, it's like the same members. Our like screamo band had played with Chris Teddy, their like fill and bass player. Yeah, and he's in like The World Is. So it was like funny. Like, hey, we played with you when we were like 15. In DC at like a taco shop, and now we're all on tour together. So it's like a pretty fun like experience. Greg from Ends is like super into movies too, so we would like go to movie shops and like talk horror movies all the time. So it was a really cool tour, and like Inner Arma they're just like the homies. They like party hard, and like we all just get along super well. It was awesome.
Well, Sam, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. You know, you've got a lot of awesome stuff going on. I love what you're doing. And keep doing it. So thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
And there you have it. Sam DiGristine. Excellent conversation. Very happy to have Sam on the show. I've really been enjoying Full of Hell. I was just listening to Coagulated Bliss again and admiring the cover art. It looks really cool. I'm really digging Jarhead Fertilizer. Another great band. And talking to Sam was just a pleasure. He was super nice. I'm glad that he's doing better and that he's a fellow brother in sobriety now. And it just seems like everything is going well for him. By the way, Full of Hell has tour dates coming up in August. Australia, Singapore, Bangkok, Seoul, Manila. They'll be all over the place. So if you live internationally and you want to check them out, go do it. You will not be disappointed. You can check their Instagram at Full of Hell for more details. So great stuff. Thank you so much, Sam, for coming on the show. So let's check in. How are we doing? It's been a busy couple weeks here. It's a new month. It's August, which means summer is almost over, and I'm happy about that. I'm not the biggest fan of hotter weather, so I'm looking forward to fall. We've got one more month, and then some hot weeks in September, and then it's back to fall, so I'm looking forward to that. I saw a lot of bands since the last time we checked in. I saw Foreign Hands and End open up for Misery Signals. That was at Warsaw in Brooklyn. That was my first time seeing Foreign Hands, and they were great. Same with End. I've seen End quite a few times lately over the past 2 years, and they always deliver. So that was really awesome. Unfortunately, I did not catch Misery Signals. This was their farewell tour, and I wish I would have seen some of it. But look, I'm old. I'm tired. My feet hurt. This is what happens once you cross 40 years old. And I had to get back to finish up some work, and I had to get up really early the next day. That's just the way it goes. I also saw the big Revelation Records gig at Terminal 5 Rooftop. Calling Hours, my first time seeing them. Loved that. They were great. I saw Spaced for the first time. Really excellent live band. They were great. I saw Raw Brigade for the first time. They were over from Colombia. Great stuff. And Orange 9mm. My first time seeing them. And wow, what a show. Chris Enriquez is drumming for them. They're newly reunited. And it was fantastic. Into Another headlined that show, and I watched about half of it, but again, I was tired and my feet hurt, and I wanted to go home, so I did. But I've seen them before. I loved what I saw. Great stuff. And finally, the last gig I saw, And So I Watch You From Afar and Caspian. And So I Watch You From Afar I've seen before, but this time was really something special. I don't, I guess I haven't kept up on all the music, but whatever was going on was amazing. The crowd was super, super into And So I Watch You From Afar. And that was a really nice change of pace because New York crowds can be kind of stiff, but this was not the case. People were jumping around. People were cheering for so long after they played. They just were super into it. The band seemed really happy about that. And I was happy about that. I got to check back in on their discography because, I don't know, they're just a lot different now from what I remember seeing, 12 years ago, I think was the last time I saw them. So really happy that I caught And So I Watch You From Afar. And Caspian, are just a powerhouse. They're probably my favorite live post-rock band because they just really bring it. They might be my favorite post-rock band, period. And, if you have the chance to go see them live, make sure you do it. It's just, you have to see it. So really glad I made that show. I was also in Bucks County last week to attend a funeral. That was the funeral of Barbara Shaw, or Mrs. Shaw, as I called her, Mike Shaw's mom. Mike Shaw is a good friend of mine and singer of This Day Forward. And I'm glad I was able to make it down there for the funeral because, growing up, their house, Mike's house, his parents' house, his family's house, was kind of a commune. When I was 17, 18, 19 years old and beyond, everybody would be there. It was just a meeting place for everybody. People would come. I would show up there and not even knock on the door, just walk in. It didn't matter if Mike was even there or not. Sometimes I would go there and it would just be his parents or his family or his sister, and I would just hang out there and wait for people to come back. And there would always be somebody else there. And that's rare. That's rare. I barely have anybody over my house. I never let anybody stay here. So to have a space like that was really cool. His parents were kind of like second parents to me. So I was sad to hear about the passing of his mom. She was dealing with an illness for a while, but the funeral was good. I'm kind of traumatized by funerals because of the first funeral I went to was the death of my older brother. And when somebody dies very unexpectedly at age 17, the funeral is a tragedy, like what you see on TV. Like everybody's wailing and sad and crying, and it's a whole thing. But at Mrs. Shaw's funeral, people were joking and telling stories, and we were sad, but there was also this air of happiness, and it was like a celebration of life. So it was really good to see everybody from the Shaw family. It was really good to see my friend Pat, who's been on the show. I haven't seen him in a long time. There was a lot of people there I haven't seen in a long time, and I needed that because I live up here in New York City and all my best friends live down there, and I don't get to see them that often, and I don't know what's going on with anybody. That's another thing, is like I would like to become more human if possible. Usually I'm just kind of shut away working on things constantly, and that's what I want to be doing, and that's what I do to kind of keep myself sane. But it would be good to be more human once in a while. Talk to people, figure out what's going on, check in with people. You know, I didn't know that Mike's mom was going through that illness. I didn't know that everything he was doing to help her out. And there's some stuff going on with Pat and his family. I didn't know about all that. I'm like out of the loop. And it doesn't feel very good, but it's a chance to reflect on things and try to do better. So that's what I'm going to do. I was also able to visit my parents. My mom had a major oral surgery, so I checked on her. She's okay. Got to spend some time with them on Tuesday as well. So that's it. Continued efforts to try to be there more for people and try to be more of a human being. Difficult as it can be sometimes. And that's about it for this week. A reminder, we need Apple Podcast reviews. We started this push to 300 reviews back in June. So it's been 2 months and we're doing pretty good. We're at like 318 on Spotify. So we're well past the mark there, but we really got to make a dent on Apple. We sit at 237 and we need a lot more. So if you listen to this show on an iPhone, open up your podcast app, search the New Scene, hit the 5-star button. And if you write a review, I'll read it in this last section of the show here. So we are going to end the show with a song by Caspian. It's called Of Foam and Wave. It's from their 2009 LP, Tertia. And this song will forever remind me of September 2009, which was a really good time in my life. I was in a new band I was excited about. I was in a new relationship I was excited about. And I remember declaring this song the official song of fall 2009, and it brings back a lot of good memories. So I'm back next week with a new episode and a new guest, so I'll see you then.